Hey everyone, welcome to Snap Take. Today in Snap Take, we're going to be taking a look at the deck that got me to Infinite. Well, you can see that deck on the screen, but I'll explain to you how to play it so that if you have access to these cards, this deck, you can reach Infinite too. First, however, I want to announce this week's giveaway. Next week, you're going to get 2 videos a week, but I'm going to be in Iceland. Sorry, excuse me, 2 videos a day, but I'm still going to be in Iceland. Since I'm away, we're doing 2 giveaways this week for the season pass that will be coming out next week. That's the Hit Monkey season pass. So if you plan to buy that, make sure you're subbed on Twitter at SnapJudgeCast for when I make the announcement there, and make sure you're subbed here so that you can actually compete in the contest. Make sure you're here at SnapJudgeCast on Twitter. All right, so let's take a look at this deck. This is wildly different than the Thanos deck I hit Infinite with last season. It plays wholly different. But I think the main thing this deck has speaking for it is that it absolutely rolls Red Skull. Shuri Red Skull decks have like no chance against this unless you draw absolutely terribly. Let's take a look at how this deck works. First and foremost, you'll notice Bast is in the deck. Bast sets the power of everything in your hand to 3. There's only one card in the early game that can have a negative effect on, Thanos. That negative effect is pretty bad if you get all 6 stones out. 13 is a lot less than 20 in this game. So if you can get all the stones out, Bast is a bad play with Thanos. But most of the time, I just ignore that. Here's why. I'm probably not playing all 6 stones in 90% of my games. And if I'm not, then America, who can never really be hit by Bast because, well, I'll get her on turn 6 and Bast will have to have been played while she's in hand. So America is only 1 less power than Thanos mostly. So if I need that play, I'm losing 1 power by playing America and gaining power for every other card in the deck and the stones by having Bast in the deck. Now, stones as a 1/3 fundamentally means that I have played Khazar and Blue Marvel every time I play in a stone once I've basted them. That's awesome. That's huge power. For Bishop, that's as if I had played 2 cards. For Hood, that makes it a 1/3, i.e., about the top rate of 1s, into a 1/6. You have to be a little careful with that 1/6 because you don't really want to make it a 1/3 with Bast, but that's not too hard to do. These little combos make it easy to spread a lot of power out. Beast, make sure you see your pieces, keeps your hand full. As soon as you get a couple stones out, one of the best things you can do, even above playing Bishop very often, is beast them back. Keep your hand full. Get more draw. Make sure you have all the pieces. Now, what do you do with your stones? There's only one stone you care about in this. It is the Energy Granter. Once you have an extra energy from playing that stone, you can play that on 3, and then you can Professor X on 4. If you can lock up a lane that you've won on 4, you're in absolutely great shape. You have multiple ways at that point to win another lane. Let's take a look at what they are. First of all, your bishop gets huge, right? Let's say you start your bishop as a 3/3. You play 3 stones, you're a 3/6. But like if you can beast some back, you've got even more stones. Bishop's very often 8, 9. I've had him at 11 power in this deck. It's amazing. Bishop is, for 3 power, an absolute monster in this deck. He's also a really, really good card to play Professor X on top of, if you can manage it. You don't even have to be ahead. You'll often play so much stuff that Bishop will just get big enough to take care of that for you. Okay, what else can we do? Well, besides that Professor X on 4 or 5, as the case may be, you can Spider-Man on 4 or 5 relatively safely with Daredevil. Excuse me, I misspoke. Spider-Man is fundamentally always a play on 5. Unless you see that location that says you can't play here turn 6, then Spider-Man is a play on 5. Spider-Man is amazing at locking up lanes and allowing you to choose where you can win the other lane. In order to win those other lanes, you have 3 real tools besides the stuff we've talked about so far. You've got Devil Dino. You can just play a big 15, 17 power Dino fairly often because you're drawing so freaking much with this deck. That's an absolutely reasonable win condition. America's fine if you need to. If you've got a couple 3-power stones and a hood, right? So you've got 12 power there. America Chavez makes that a 21 power lane. Again, pretty solid for winning. But those are backup plans. The real plan is to make sure you don't have priority. You've locked up one lane, ideally with Professor X or Spider-Man, and are behind elsewhere. That's where Valkyrie comes in. If a lane is Spider-Man, even if they are winning on their power, dropping Valkyrie on it means that you will have, very likely anyway, given your stones, have more cards there. More cards equals win. Valkyrie with 2 cards, if one is Soulstone, will beat an opponent's full 4-card location. Worth knowing. Shang-Chi gives you an extra out if they leave anything big unprotected. I'm finding myself very often on 4. If I know that they're dropping a She-Hulk in a very obvious place and I don't have priority, just dropping my Shang right then and taking care of that problem before they can do anything else. There's a lot of options for power in this deck, and you have all the control tools. Now, the way I think about this is there's 2 types of control, really. Well, 3, I guess, in Marvel Snap. There's lane control, there's removal control, whether that be removal of power or removal of the card. And there's junk, which is a form of lane control, but not exactly. It's basically just card denial, right? This card does both in spades. It's got 2 of the strongest lane control cards in the game, with Spider-Man and Professor X. If you can lock down one lane, you have multiple tools to make sure that you win the other. This deck is sick. I'll be posting gameplay for it soon. You need to check it out, assuming you can get it. This is not a free-to-play friendly deck. For Wednesday's video, though, I've got this Sandman ramp deck that's basically all pull 3 that I guarantee you can hit infinite with. It's super strong, unlike this, against everything but Shuri, but that's the next deck that I'm going to show you. Tomorrow we take a quick break to look at Kitty Pryde. Make sure you like, make sure you sub, make sure you're following over at Snap JudgeCast on Twitter for the giveaways, and I will see you tomorrow.